Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love here on Enlightened World Network. I'm Tomas Garza, your host. And this is a very special, very wonderful show here today because we're talking all about love. Now, you might think of dozens and dozens of different things. When you think about love as a concept, as a thing, as an idea, what comes to your mind? I'd love to know that, actually, in the comments today. I'd love to make this as interactive as possible, and I will check comments later on here in the live stream. I never know who's going to be joining me here today, because we have had people literally from all over the world, and this live stream takes place, well, if I'm not traveling, it takes place 6 days a week here on Enlightened World Network. And I very much appreciate all of you tuning in. So thank you for tuning in here, whether it's live or on the replay. Feel welcome to say hello, because I'd love to get some interaction in the comments. And thank you for all of the shares of this page and for all of your likes, the hearts, the comments, all of that. I truly appreciate it. And what I appreciate more than anything else is the fact that you're showing up for your practice. You're showing up for yourself in so doing, and by extension, for everyone else in the world. So that is the number one offering that we could all give in terms of spirituality. Yes, donations are great. Likes and hearts are great. Comments are wonderful. Views are wonderful. However, your practice is the highest and best and most important offering of them all. So I thank you for that. Now, we are at lesson 127 in the workbook for students. And as I mentioned at the outset, this show is all about love. And when you think about love, well, there are likely to be many things, dozens of different things that pop into your mind. Why we're inundated with love in popular culture. However, we're inundated with a very limited version of love, aren't we? If we listen to your typical rock music lyric or country music lyric, especially maybe the country music lyrics, yeah, they're about love. Well, what are they talking about? Well, they're talking about romantic flings a lot of the time, aren't they? That is what often passes for love in the modern world. So today's idea broadens that tremendously, substantially, and I would say obliterates that notion completely. There is no love but God's. That is lesson 127 in the workbook for students. No love but God's. So you may have heard, and if you've tuned into this live stream before, you will have heard me say God is love. Love is only capable of recognizing itself. It is only capable of extending itself. All of us, as the Son of God, are the extension of God. Therefore, we are love itself. Not we're loving, we are love. Not we're in love with somebody, we are love. Do you see the difference there? It's very profound, and it's a very important difference because as you can see in the world, we have a very limited definition of what love is. We confine it. We really do. We confine it, and nothing against the institution of marriage. I'm very happily married. Nothing against the institution of monogamous relationships, nothing against the institute of love within a family unit, anything like that. They're all limitations. Love is limitless. It is abstract. First of all, it's an idea and can't be limited. It can't be limited. All of the conventions that we put on it can't limit it at all. Now think about it. Think about it. Love flows through all human obstacles. It flows through international boundaries and across as though they didn't exist. Well, they don't. It flows through all kinds of social constructs, self-imposed barriers. It simply is, you could say. And that would be accurate. It simply is. It knows no opposites, so it cannot falter. A limited definition, of course, can. But what we're talking about in lesson 127 is love, if you prefer to say it this way, love with a capital L. There is no love but God's. Period. Period. Now, that does not mean that everything that passes for love here in the world should be completely ignored. Nobody's saying that. We're all here, apparently, in the world to communicate with each other and do the work that we're here to do. Whatever that may look like for you, we all appear to be here because we've agreed on these constraints and things, and they are constraints ultimately. We've agreed on all of this, and here we are. So we do need remedies that meet us on this level, such as forgiveness, as we've been talking about here in the live, and we'll talk about some more as we go forward. As you may know, there are 365 lessons in the workbook. Today we're at lesson 127. We're going to talk more about love. In addition to today's live, we are going to talk a lot more about forgiveness. These are remedies. Forgiveness is that remedy that we need here in the level of form. If you prefer to call it 3D, like the world, that's what we need here. Now, there is no love but God's, and as the practice suggestion here, the workbook has us just carve some time out of our day to sit still and listen for a message. Let go of all of our preconceived notions. Let go of our beliefs about what love is. In other words, limited, because our parents, through no fault of their own, of course, gave us a limited definition of love. School gave us a limited definition of love, through no fault of anyone's. Right? These are examples of our conditioning that we receive from a very young age. So by the time we even know how to talk, we're already conditioned, and we continue to get conditioned. So we're conditioned with a limited idea of what love is. Music, lyrics, extremely limited definition of what love is. Rock, country, whether you can understand the lyrics, whether it's intelligible or not, it's a limited definition. Nothing against that great music. It's wonderful, right? A lot of these songs are beautiful. But now understand that there is no love but God's, and it's much greater than any of us realizes. It's literally who we are. And it cannot be stopped. It flows through all human obstacles, all human constructed barriers, constraints, you name it. And it's a beautiful thing. And what we do in practicing today's idea is we sit with that and allow what the Course calls the voice for God, the Holy Spirit. Another way you could see this as your guides, your inner teacher. Allow your inner teacher to speak to you. Sit quietly and let go of your preconceived notions about what love is and ask to be shown truth instead. And you will be, whether it comes right then in the moment or not. Just know and have confidence that you will be shown. Quite possibly in a way that you cannot imagine. It does not always come in a blinding flash of light. It does not always come in a voice speaking to you audibly. It can come in a number of different ways, but trust that the message will come. Simply show up and ask. That's the practice suggestion for today, and quite honestly, for every day. Because you'll notice as we go through here that the practice periods are all very, very similar, aren't they? They look very similar. The difference is it may call for a certain time frame or another. And what I would advise and deeply, deeply suggest is that you not get hung up on the details of that. This is not about checking off a box. Right? Doing the workbook is not about checking off a box and making sure that you've got everything 100% correct, that you practice for 15 minutes if it says 15 minutes. Because there are people out there that, and I've worked with a lot of them when I lead groups and workshops and the like, that tend to beat themselves up if they meditate for 12 and a half minutes. Somehow that's not enough. Well, actually it is. It's great. It's wonderful. What matters is that you integrate this idea into your life when it begins to show up and when you begin to notice yourself thinking in this way with the Holy Spirit, with Jesus, with your guides, then you will know that, as we put it, you're making progress on the path. In other words, you're awakening to love, like the title of the live stream, the subtitle is. It's the truth of who we really are. Okay, so I want to say hello. We've got some people here on the live stream on Enlightened World Network, and this is a really, really wonderful part. It's one of my favorite parts. So I want to say hello to you all here. Karen, hi, how are you? From New York. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. We've had several people join us from New York. And Karen asks, where do you purchase the book? And let's address that. Karen, I'll put this in the comments too, in case you're not on here. The book can be purchased anywhere you buy books, whether it's a physical bookstore or online. And you just simply type in A Course in Miracles, and you'll see that they have different editions. I'll show you what I've got here. One moment. Good props. This is what I've got. Okay, this is the second combined edition. It actually does say Miracles on here. This is a book that I've had for 8 years, and it's been all over the world with me. My wife and I've traveled quite a bit in the last 8 years, and this has made the rounds. So the Miracles is actually rubbed off by my hands from picking it up and reading it a lot. So the combined edition combines 3 parts. 1, the text; 2, the workbook that I'm talking about here today; and 3, the manual for teachers. So there are a couple of different editions, and mine is the second combined edition. There's a third combined edition, and they're not substantially different from one another. This can be bought. Online resources exist if you don't wish to purchase a physical copy of the book itself. Then that is something that's available to you, and a Google search yields all kinds of really wonderful, beautiful information. And Karen, so a statement: you have to love God before you can love yourself. Same, right? We all are love. So what I'm talking about here may not sit right with people that were raised in a fundamentalist tradition, as I was, by the way, twice. 2 different churches. We left one, I left the other. one of those stories, which I'll talk more about. We all are love. So the Son of God is an extension of God. So there is no difference in love. There is no love but God's. This is who we are. So in that sense, we have to love something or someone before we can love ourselves. When you love at all, period, you are loving God. It could take the form of your pet, your cat, your dog, yourself, your son, your daughter, right? Your spouse, anyone. The Course says that all expressions of love are maximal. There is no love but God's. So that would make sense, yes? Now, that statement also implies that there are no gradations. There's no difference. There's no time difference where you have to love one person before you can love another. So I appreciate very much that comment. And I don't know if it was phrased as a question or not, but love is a unitary principle, being God, being ourselves, also the Son of God. When I use a term, the Son of God, that comes directly from the Course itself, which uses primarily Christian terminology to describe universal spirituality. Now, remember that the Course was first dictated in the 1960s in New York City. So you can't get much more Western culture than that, and you can't get much more invested in the values of the world, hustle, greed, speed, than New York City. Right? This is where the Course was dictated, not by accident at all. There are no coincidences whatsoever. So all expressions of love are maximal. Karen, thank you for joining us from New York. And yeah, that's really, it's quite wonderful that you're here. So I'm glad that you joined in from New York as well. That is where the Course was dictated. The Helen Schuckman and William Thetford were professors of medical psychology at Columbia. So, and they say in the intro to the Course that they were very invested in the values of the world. Of course, PhDs, tenured professors, yeah, you can't get much more invested in the values of the world than that. So I will put some more information here in the comments about where to purchase the Course. Now, if you're interested in purchasing this, I highly recommend it. It is the centerpiece of my own spirituality. Now, it might not be for you, and that's perfectly okay, because you can use this to augment and to enliven your own practice in so many different ways. This is universal spirituality, and perhaps an idea from A Course in Miracles will help you see your own walk differently. It will help shed light on it, and that's what I hope. My goal for all of you is to get in touch with your inner teacher. It doesn't matter what you call your inner teacher. This is what I want. Is for you all to get in touch with your inner teacher and begin the process, if you're not on the path already, of awakening to love, the truth of who we really are. Because the world needs you to do this work. And that's a fact, yeah? All right. So thank you all for joining me. Again, this live stream takes place every day during the week here, and most Saturdays, unless my wife and I are traveling, and we're not this week. So that means that I will see you back here again tomorrow. Thank you all so much for joining me. And again, Karen, thank you for tuning in from New York here. All right, we'll see you all later.